Oh, you all want to become telepaths. You want to make Kreskin look like a beginner. Well, there's a few things that you need to understand first. And a practitioner, remember, he views the world in a multidimensional way. So, you're going to need to make a few realizations. The first one is this. You like to believe that your mind is like a closed room. Nobody can get into it. You are private in there. Your thoughts are your own, and nobody can hear them, and no being can hear them. Well, that's incorrect. You're going to need to think of your mind more as, let's use the term, a house of glass. The practitioner also realizes that we are all actually connected. Everything on this planet, actually everything in this universe, is interconnected. You need to understand that whenever you talk to someone, let's say if I approach somebody and I start speaking with them, I make a telepathic connection. The difference is that you don't realize you're doing it. And you're going to say to yourself, oh my God, wait a minute, that's a bunch of baloney. I would know if I'm making a telepathic connection. Well, I'm going to prove my point. Have you ever sat down and talked to somebody and perhaps said something that, and you probably did it this way, said something that threatened their ego, something that they probably did not want to hear? Have you ever noticed that you have a connection, a smooth flow of conversation, a back and forth, all the way up to that point? And that's because you said something threatening to the ego, or threatening to the mind, or threatening to that particular person's paradigm. And what do? They shut down. You ever noticed you felt uncomfortable immediately afterwards? You could actually feel that connection break. If you wanted to pursue that line of conversation further, you have a feeling of being uncomfortable, of not being on firm ground. That's because that individual broke the psychic connection, that telepathic connection between the two. We have to have a telepathic connection to get clarity within our symbols of words. So all of the time, when you're speaking to somebody, yes, you're translating their words, but you're connecting to their mind subconsciously to help in the interpretation of those symbols, to make sure you're understanding where they're coming from. Is this making sense, people? You got to understand this concept. We already are telepathic. So, you then say to yourself, well, how come I can't hear it? How come I don't notice that I'm a telepath? Again, every person on this planet is a telepath. The main reason that blocks your conscious mind from knowing what your subconscious mind is learning or connecting to with that other person telepathically is what? Your internal chatter. How can you hear what somebody else's internal chatter is? What you're really wanting is, when you say you want telepathy, you're really saying you want to hear somebody else's internal chatter, what they're thinking, what words are going through their mind. I'm going to warn you right now. You could get good at this. It doesn't take much. It's not hard to do. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. But I'm going to recommend that you don't do it. Take a day and listen to your own internal chatter about what you're thinking about other people. And imagine being able to hear it from other people. Odds are good that they're thinking along the same lines as you are. And the better you get at it, the more it happens automatically. You'll hear stuff that you just don't even really want to hear. I mean, you haven't even turned it on, okay, or you haven't tried, and you automatically will hear that internal chatter. So that's my word of caution for you. I'm going to explain how to do it. It's really, really simple. I'm just cautioning you. Sometimes it's best just not to know. All right, here we go. Step 1. You need to meditate on what I just talked about. You need to relive moments and instances over and over again. Look at different ones, especially ones that deal with communication. And when you actually felt that telepathic connection, let's say one of the best ways is, and this happens to almost everyone, when you fall in love with somebody, have you ever looked deeply in their eyes? Have you ever felt as if you made a connection at that time? almost as if you were in their mind, almost as if the two of you were one. Well, you were. That was telepathy. You'll realize that it exists. You have to realize that it's true and it happens all the time. What you're really seeking is an epiphany, an aha moment, where you know that it's true. Epiphanies are great for a practitioner. We love them, because every time we have an epiphany, we know that we just gained power. We just moved aside an illusion that, again, illusions have no power of their own, and had a brief glimpse of reality, which means that we now have gained a new power. We've gained a new ability. So look forward to epiphanies. They kind of suck in that you now have to go through all of your belief structures and reorganize them to include that new epiphany. But believe me, as a practitioner, you want those. All right, so now let's say that you've realized that you're connected to everyone and you're always doing telepathy. Remember, realized translates to you have brought a realization into reality. Realized, reality, which means it's now part of your paradigm. And since it's now part of your paradigm, you can now use it. So now I've realized that I am connected at all times. So now, how do I listen to what somebody's internal chatter is? Again, first thing you do is you realize that you can do it, that you're doing it all the time. The second part is you have to stop your internal chatter. I did a video on how to stop your internal chatter, and one of them that I talked about was using hearing. Okay, focus intently on hearing something and you'll notice your internal chatter stops. There's a little bit of a twist when you want to hear somebody else's thoughts. It's a little bit of a twist, okay? It's the same concept. What you do is you focus, and this will take some practice. You want to do this first. Actually listen to your internal chatter. I want you to listen to every word that's going through your mind. You'll notice that it shuts up. You can no longer hear it. What you want to do is you want to shift your focus, okay? And when I move my focus, I'm moving my consciousness into other consciousness, or my awareness into other consciousnesses. So what you want to do is stop your internal chatter and just lightly focus on the person that you want to hear, okay? Now here's the trick. Lightly focus, and then listen. Is this making sense? I talked about this earlier. There's one awareness, but there's many consciousness. You can shift your awareness into listening in on that consciousness. You guys understanding the concept, I hope. I highly recommend that you take a look at the video I did, How to Stop Your Internal Chatter in 2 minutes or less. I go into more details about moving your awareness into your different senses, such as sight, touch, smell, hearing, etc. You need to master that. You need to be able to do that, because essentially what you're doing is you are moving your awareness into their consciousness to be able to hear what they're thinking. And yes, you can actually speak to them into their own mind. You can put thoughts into their head. Now, I'm going to highly recommend, and you're probably, once you master this, you'll have to learn this on your own, because I had to learn the hard way. But I'm going to highly recommend that you don't do that, because their mind is going to know that it's a foreign thought. Believe it or not, they're going to know it. And they're going to know subconsciously. Again, they're probably not going to accept it consciously, because very few people have the paradigm of everybody being connected. They're probably not going to accept it, again, consciously. Again, because I'm repeating myself, I know, but it's important for you to understand. Their paradigm will not allow them to register it consciously. So subconsciously, they're not going to like you. They're going to feel uncomfortable around you. It's going to totally change your relationship. Odds are good that this person probably doesn't know why, but they want to avoid you. Their mind and their ego knows, their subconscious knows that you planted something in their mind. Again, they're going to be uncomfortable around you. And you do what you want. Everybody discovers this on their own. At least almost every practitioner learns it on their own. once they gain this ability. And I really hate to call it an ability. It's something that we all already do. You just need to get to the point to where you can do it when you want to do it. So the key is believe that you can do it. Realize that you're already doing it. The second is to be able to stop your internal chatter. You've got to be able to stop it. Again, how are you going to hear somebody else's thoughts through your own internal chatter? The third is to be able to move your consciousness between your different senses so you can, again, don't try to move it. It just happens automatically. Just like in How to Stop Your Internal Chatter in 2 minutes or less. It's done exactly the same way as shifting your consciousness from your mind to the consciousness of touch, your sense of touch or smell or hearing. It's done the exact same way. Notice you don't tell yourself, all right, move into that mind. I am now hearing. Well, no, because I'm doing internal chatter, aren't I? Just listen. Focus on them. Stop your internal chatter and listen. In no time at all, you're actually going to start to hear words that you know does not come out of your own mind. Really easy to do, guys. Really, really easy. Takes a little bit of practice, but yeah, you can do it.